Hi, I'm Mario from the Newburg Deli located in Nazareth, Pennsylvania. Today we're going to talk about a subject that's near and dear to my heart, and that's olive oil cooking. Our last segment we talked about some of the attributes of olive oil. We talked about how people are messing with the industry of olive oil and how you should be careful on the type and purity of olive oil you should use. We talked about cold applications of using olive oil in your everyday cooking to make your life more tasteful and to make your dishes healthier for you regardless of your background or cooking experience. Last week was cold applications. This week is hot. We have a lot to cover today, so I'll be moving pretty fast in this segment. Before I get started, I wanted to open up with one more cold application of using the olive oil. In this case, it's Vita Bella brand. It's a brand that I own and utilize in my cooking at the restaurant. However, I'm going to transition to Mario's Newburg Deli olive oil in the near future for marketing purposes and familiarity. With that said, you want to get a salad like this. I call this a summer salad. We serve this at the deli. It's bell peppers, tomatoes, cucumbers, beautiful red onions, cilantro. Mix that together. Mix some olive oil liberally in there. You want to utilize some apple cider vinegar, dash of oregano, salt, pepper, tiny spritz garlic powder, and work it through. And folks, I tell you, this is an absolutely marvelous salad to cleanse your palate, to get you ready for the main course, or if you're a vegetarian, it's just an awesome dish with color and excellent nutrition. The kids will actually like it. You can substitute for balsamic. Beautiful summer salad utilizing the olive oil. First plate up. Second plate up we're going to use today is going to be potatoes. How do you use olive oil for a side starch in potatoes? In this case, I've got some new potatoes or some red potatoes. And what we can do in that was we can, again, liberally drizzle olive oil in those potatoes, salt, and pepper. I like sea salt. It's healthier for you. In this case, we're going to utilize some Simon and Garfunkel. Parsley, rosemary, sage, and thyme. You remember the old song from the 70s. You can mix that through. But before you do that, you want to make sure your potatoes are prepped for the oven. So you're going to boil your potatoes for 15 minutes on medium heat. And then you're going to do this process I just showed you. And then you're going to put them in the oven for 350 for about 45 minutes to an hour so they get really, really toasty and nice and shriveled of sorts, and they get that wrinkly look and that excellent gourmet look to them that Julia Childs be proud of. So in this case, we'll put that prep product aside. We'll show you the finished product as it comes out. And we'll put that on our finished dish. And there you have it, folks. You have a gorgeous side dish with new potatoes utilizing olive oil and some herbs. Remember, olive oil is very good for you. Not only is it high in phenolic qualities, which is an antioxidant trait, but it actually is also high in oleic acid. And oleic acid has been proven to be very good for your skin. Did you ever notice why Greek women and Italian women have such beautiful skin at an older age? It's because they use a lot of olive oil in their cooking. Olive oil also helps in your digestive process. It actually lubricates your intestines. It makes you flow better, if you know what I mean. It also helps your libido factor. Olive oil has been proven clinically to lower your blood pressure, and it's also been proven to help fight free radicals because of its antioxidant properties. It's a great product. You've got to use olive oil every day in your family. For most things you use, you can incorporate olive oil. We go through a bottle of this in about a month, and I think that's a good usage. And this is a high-end finishing oil, and we're using it in hot applications today. Our next dish we're going to utilize is going to be how to cook it with a vegetable. How would you use olive oil with a vegetable? Here's a non-Italian vegetable that most of us might be familiar with, and that's Brussels sprouts. Again, you want to steam your Brussels sprouts slightly in some water for 10 minutes. In this case, I'm making roasted Brussels sprouts. And then you can salt, pepper, as usual, and then you can put some of those herbs again if you like. You could keep it plain and simple, and you could put them right in the oven after you steam them, and you've got a beautiful dish. A lot of times you want to take spinach or Brussels sprouts like this after you steam them on the stove, and then you just want to drizzle the olive oil after you've cooked the product al dente. Then you'll smell the aroma of the oil. You'll get all the chlorophyll and the plant life qualities that you're looking from the olive oil, which is really where the nutrients are. Remember, olive oil, if it's not processed, is a live plant product. It's excellent for vegetarian cooking and just general health purposes. With that said, our finished product on the Brussels sprouts are a marvelous roasted herb type Brussels sprouts, as you see here, after about 20 minutes, half hour in the oven being cooked. It is just a marvelous side dish. The kids will actually eat this if you cook them right. And remember, nobody wants a hard Brussels sprout, so make sure they're done thoroughly through. There you go, Brussels sprouts, utilizing in our dish. Our next dish is going to be the famous Italian green broccoli or rapini. Rapini. Now in this case, we have a hot pan here. I hope it's not too hot for utilizing olive oil. Remember, we want to keep olive oil as low as possible in its flash point. In this case, my pan's a little hot, so I'm going to temper it down a little bit. You might not want to try this at home because it could be a little dangerous for you. But in this case, we'll just make sure our pan is the right temperature. We're going to use that olive oil as a base right there for some light garlic cooking. In this case, we have some beautiful cloves of garlic. Doesn't matter how fine or how thick you chop them, because you do what you want to do in your house with your product. You know, I really hope that people watch this show and they get inspired to get back to the old world cooking, and they really take pride and take care in what they give their family, because your family's worth it. It shows me you love them, and they'll appreciate the efforts that you put into it. So we want to use olive oil in this scenario into a frying pan. Turn your heat up just a little bit on low to medium. I know this isn't really high-end fancy cooking, but a lot of people don't really know how to go about these basic steps, and my goal is to show them that you can do this in a jiffy. Now, if you're afraid of burning your garlic, I learned an old trick in the restaurant industry. Just put a little bit of water in there. It's okay if it steams up. Just turn your fan on if you got one. I like the smell of garlic. It's kind of like Italian cologne. So there we go. We've got the garlic cooking. You don't want to brown your garlic. Nothing worse than brown garlic. In this case, you got some lightly steamed broccoli or rapini, al dente. Don't kill it like the canned beans you get from the dollar store. You want to put that into the pan with a little bit of that juice, believe it or not. That's where the flavor comes. That's where the consistency you're looking for comes from. You want to twist it around just ever so gingerly with your tongs. If you want to, then you can drizzle a little bit of olive oil on top, utilizing that oil again. Pepper. Garlic powder. Again, light sea salt to taste. You don't have to use any salt if you're on a diet or no salt. Then you've got a product that's ready to be a side dish in any main protein meal, as we go over here and plate up on this marvelous dish. Rapini with garlic and olive oil. Folks, it's marvelous. You'd be surprised who doesn't serve this anymore in a restaurant. I don't know why. It's one of the best greens in the world you can eat. Very high in vitamin D and vitamin K. There we have it, rapini. Serve for your family. Very quick, 3 to 4 minutes. Folks, a lot of these meals are inexpensive. You don't have to, you don't have to really break the bank when you're trying to do this. Another meal, that's how do we incorporate olive oil using protein, whether it be beef or whether it be fish. You want to use olive oil in protein. We have a good example of that. In this case, we're going to use a fish steak. First thing to do in your fish steak application, whether you're grilling or broiling in the oven, is you want to lubricate your pan a little bit with olive oil. If you have a basting brush, it really helps because it keeps your fingers out of the program. Some people don't like your fingers in the program. Get a beautiful steak like this. In this case, I have a wild-caught Alaskan salmon. Nice product there. At $8 a pound. Real simple. Liberal olive oil on top. Again, basting with olive oil. Some people put butter on codfish. Some people put butter on flounder. But In this case, salmon loves olive oil for some reason. It works real well. We're going to use just a light herb application. Rosemary. Rosemary salmon is a nice product. We got salt, pepper, garlic. No garlic powder in this scenario, but I do like to put a little bit of paprika for this because a lot of seafood likes paprika. So we got this product all prepped out, ready to go. Maybe 15, 18 minutes in the oven, bake for 10, and you want to broil it off for about 6 to 8 minutes. We have that finished product of beautiful baked steaks for his and her. Look at that glaze that olive oil gives you. If you want to go the extra mile, you can get a tong and you can turn the steak on its side to brown it even more. But in this case, it's just done perfect, fork tender. You'll absolutely love that steak. No burning and no drying out because the olive oil creates that barrier to keep the juices intact. Lastly, but certainly not least, is one of my all-time favorites. My kids actually like this meal. Folks, we're always looking for some way to cook inexpensively, yet in a healthy fashion for our family. In this case, we're going to use olive oil in a pasta dish. Italians are good at pasta, so let's talk about using olive oil in pasta. We've got the garlic application again. Remember, watch your oil temperature. In this case, it's a little hot because I'm in a hurry, but try to use a better flash point than I'm using right now. Keep it off the stove if it starts to get hot on you. Again, if you had to add a little water as a cooling agent, nobody is going to be upset about it, okay? In this case, I'm making pasta alla Mario. Pasta alla Mario consists of linguine. It consists of fresh olive oil, cannelli beans, and broccoli rabe. So in the first application, or first step, is we're going to sear off that garlic. We're going to put the cannelli beans with some of that jazzu in there. You know that real thick, goopy stuff that's in there? Don't toss it all out. There's a purpose for that, folks. So we're going to mix that through just a little bit. We're not going to get the full effect of the temperatures we're looking for because of our time constraints. But in this scenario, we'll turn the heat up just a little bit. Turn the heat up just a little bit. It's real easy. We want to get some chopped parsley. Not only for color, but for flavor. Some chopped parsley. Let that work through. I may have to borrow some of that rapini that I cooked off because I didn't cook a secondary rapini. I hope you forgive me for that. Can't do it all in the morning here. Okay, we're cooking that down, just simmering slightly. Once you get that heat going on that bean garlic mixture, then you want to go into for some more oregano. Just a light dash of that oregano, not overbearing, just a light dash of the oregano. You want that fresh parsley in there. This is the secret, folks. Fresh parsley. Come back over. You can work that through. Color and flavor. In this case, I'm going to rob some rapini, if you don't mind. I'm going to go back to my rapini stock over here, and I'm going to rob a little rapini. I want to make sure that rapini is fine because not a lot of folks like to use rapini and eat it in their pasta in big chunks. You want to make sure it's fine. In this case, watch your fingers as you're cutting. Use any kind of cleaver knife. Couple your fingers and watch your knife motion. Just chop down aggressively on your rapini. And there's a secret to rapini. You know, I wanted to add real quick. I forgot to mention. When you're cutting rapini and it comes real long in these long stems like this, you know, nobody wants a big stem and nobody wants these, you know, pieces that are wide and long. So there's an art to cutting rapini, and that is cutting it on an angle like this. I find that, you know, you get enough stems and you get the right amount of florets in there, and it just makes it appetizing when you're cutting in that fashion. Okay, in this case we've got rapini. So we're going to get our pasta, take it out of the water. We're going to save some of that water. We're going to save some of that water for our last step. We're going to get I usually use a mixing bowl on the end. I use the tongs here to pull up my pasta. I put the pasta in the mixing bowl. You got to judge the amount of ratio of pasta versus the inclusions. You know, in this case, it's going to be the cannelli beans and the garlic, etc. Okay, so now we're going to take our nicely simmered cannelli beans, olive oil, parsley, right in there with that product there. And just for, you know, thickening purposes and taste, I take a little bit of the starchy water and mix it in with there to lubricate the pasta and to keep the effects of that going. In this case, we're going to add the rapini, or the broccoli rabe as you would call it, into that. We can get a mixing spoon or some sort of fork spoon scenario. We can mix that through. And we're going to put the magic ingredient in there. We talked about that before. You know, I learned that decades ago, and that's the SPG, salt, pepper, reverse that, and the Italian cologne, garlic powder, and we're going to mix that through. This is a marvelous dish. Folks, you can cook this dish right here for 5 or 6 people for less than $5 or $6. That's $1 a person. And folks, nutritionally, you know, my mother raised me to be very nutritionally minded. I believe in balanced food. In this case, we have a carbohydrate, we have protein, you have your greens, you have that gorgeous olive oil. By the way, I like to finish it off with a little bit of oil. I know you might think this is extra greasy. It's not greasy. It's actually adding flavor and nutrition to your life. Now, if you really want to go the distance, we'll get a little bit of beautiful, fine grated cheese here. Okay, that's not coming out correctly, but there it goes anyway. Finely grated cheese. There we go, there's my spoon. Mix it through. Now, if you're really in the mood to zest your life up, you want to put a little bit of crushed red pepper, not only for color, but for zing. Folks, you've got a beautiful dish, pasta alla Mario. And this is going to conclude our hot application of our products: summer salad, new potatoes, roasted Brussels sprouts, broccoli rabe, beautiful fish steaks for the protein main dish, and a vegetarian substitution at the pasta alla Mario. I hope you enjoyed this segment of Mario's Cooking Expeditions, Newburg Deli, Nazareth, Pennsylvania. We look forward to our next segment with you. God bless you. Have a great day.